I really don't want to do that.
Hal, it's okay. You're okay.
No, I feel like I'm like the opposite of okay. I can't.
Because it takes time.
I'm not saying anything radical when I say sometimes it's hard to feel understood. Sometimes it feels like nobody gets you. It's admittedly a very childish feeling most of the time, but also one most of us experience probably more than we care to admit. I do, at least. For a while, I really struggled with this feeling and how to deal with it, and still do a lot. It wasn't that long ago that I was feeling particularly lonely, and kind of like nobody got it. Usually when I'm feeling that way, I like to turn to art for some sort of solace or distraction. On a random night in February, when I was feeling pretty sad, I decided to watch Cha Cha Real Smooth and bawled like a baby. I was blown away at how much this guy, Cooper Raiff, got it. Being in your 20s is lame and isolating and at times really difficult, and he understood that. Not only did he understand how much it sucks sometimes, he also got how great it can be, and I loved how he balanced the two. I was floored, and the next night I decided to watch Shithouse, his first feature film. I don't want to be hyperbolic, but in some sense, watching these back-to-back kind of changed my life. Everything I love about Cha Cha Real Smooth was evident, but packaged into something that was just directly up my alley even more. What stuck with me almost instantly was how well Raiff mastered the genre. Many filmmakers had dipped their toe in the pool that is young adult, relatable, feel-good filmmaking, and most of the time to very mixed results. Even if the movie isn't bad, which a lot of them aren't, you run the risk of coming off as pretentious. Cooper almost immediately avoided that risk by being the complete opposite, the most sincere he could be. I wrote in my initial review of Shithouse, through plenty of tears, that Raiff gets me, and more than almost any other filmmaker I've ever seen has. But it's not because I was struggling at frat parties my freshman year, or because I moved a long distance from my family for college, but because I too had sat on the phone and cried with my mom. I too have felt like a loser wanting a text back. I felt like I'm always going to be alone, and I felt like nobody gets it. Childish, I know, but Raiff didn't make me feel that way. Whenever I watch a movie about this subject matter, I walk away with a weird feeling in my stomach. Embarrassment maybe, shame even, or just an overwhelming feeling that I'm too old for this or above this now. I didn't feel that way once the first time I watched Shithouse, and I certainly didn't feel that way on my next two viewings either. That moment of sitting outside, talking to your mom so you don't feel alone, is the basis of this video, and I think is notable when considering Hal and Harper. Major spoilers ahead for Hal and Harper. I strongly encourage you to go watch this series for yourself before watching the video. It's streaming on Mubi, and I'm pretty sure they offer a free month. This is not an ad, just I think you should watch the series. Hal and Harper is Raiff, once again, going for it. He's telling a deeply personal and deeply intimate story that's tugging on your heartstrings, or mine a lot. I cried during every episode, and I've cried during every viewing of Shithouse and Cha Cha Real Smooth. He knows how to get to me, and he's really going for it in this one. It's not just because this is 4.5 hours in total versus the hour and 40 he usually likes to hang around. See, Cooper Raiff has always been character focused first. His films are far less about what's literally happening and are more about how our characters feel and how whatever's happening affects them. Shithouse is about Alex struggling to make friends and how isolating college can feel. Cha Cha Real Smooth is about the weird feeling that comes after graduating college, but before adult life really begins. The weird middle ground between full adulthood and the final years of childhood. He even said in an interview that TV felt best for the series because TV is a more character-driven storytelling form. But Raiff's films are usually about two main characters, and mostly about his character. Hal and Harper is not just Hal's story, it's Harper's too, and their dad's. Raiff is showing us the three sides of a broken family and what that can do to him, and I think he does so incredibly effectively. The finale opens with For the Parents and the Parenting. It's for us all. This video probably won't be very organized or have a clear through line, but I just want to talk about what I think is so effective about Hal and Harper. Throughout the series, Raiff and Reinhardt portray their younger counterparts in a variety of different flashbacks. This varies from playing early college days to their adult selves portraying their 7-year-old self sitting in a class and going to basketball practice. While the show definitely runs the risk of being a bit gimmicky or on the nose here, I think Raiff's approach works really well and adds a lot to the show. This is a consistent trend for Cooper Raiff. Things that may seem cliche or tired are incredibly effective in his movies and now show. And I think that's because of how earnest he is in this approach. We see child Hal and Harper early in the show, before their mom passed, and they're portrayed by actual children. It isn't until we see them after their mom's passing that Lily Reinhardt and Cooper Raiff portray their younger counterparts. While episode 2 is the first time we see them, episode 3 is the first full episode where we spend a lot of time with them. I think it's notable how throughout our time with their younger counterparts, there's a constant give and go between their maturity. In many ways, these are literal adults in children's clothes. We watch Harper smoke a cigarette as a third grader. And clearly a lot of this, including portraying their younger counterparts, is supposed to be metaphorical for how these children were forced to grow up before they even got a chance to be children. That now the line between their adult self and child self is so blurred that you can't tell which side they are anymore. but I think it's clearly towing a line that leaves it a bit ambiguous to what is meant to be fully metaphorical and fully literal, and what these kids actually felt and went through versus what is their adult self looking back. I also think it's notable that a lot of the times the perspective shifts back to this. It starts with Dad. Even when it doesn't start with him, he's there in a main part of it. I think while you can read them playing their kid selves as them growing up too fast, too young, I also kind of read it as Dad seeing them as kids even when they're all grown up, or as adults when they were kids, and how he's realizing he may have blurred that line in an irreparable way. The finale gives us closure here though, and shows us that even though Dad always felt like he failed, he didn't. He wasn't perfect, but even for a few fleeting moments, they gotta be kids, and he was a good dad. I found that entire scene really touching and moving, and I think it's honestly in large part due to Raiff's restraint. Choosing to hold that reveal till the very end made it far more impactful, I think, and made sure that Hal and Harper went out on a strong and ultimately optimistic ending. What's so truly special to me about Raiff as a filmmaker is his optimism, and how consistent it feels through it all. Hal and Harper is a pretty brutal show, at least emotionally. As brutal and heart-wrenching as the show can be, much like Shithouse and Cha Cha Real Smooth, we aren't left with just these sad moments. Cooper Raiff understands emotions, like I keep saying, and he understands the whole spectrum of them. I haven't seen many directors or writers who have mastered emotional storytelling like he has. Hal, Harper, Dad, Kate, Jesse, Audrey, Kaylin, all of them are going through something. They are all dealing with their own struggles, and to some extent, they are hollow or empty because of it. We see how ugly this manifests itself and how painful it can be for themselves and those around them. But I don't think Cooper ever lets that moment overwhelm the audience, and I don't think the dark moments are ever really judgmental. He has as much tender care and understanding for these people as he has frustration. He sees people for who they are or who they want to be and can be, and I think that's really beautiful. Feelings and emotions aren't stagnant, and they exist usually in conflicting ways with one another. Raiff gets this, and Hal and Harper is his most ambitious project in that regard. Hal and Harper's unrelenting. It's as brutal as it is caring, as cold as it is warm, and ultimately, as optimistic as it is sad. Raiff is good at letting these sad moments breathe. Our characters spend episodes isolated or struggling, but I think this is part of why he chose non-linear storytelling for Hal and Harper. Not only does it let us see what led us here and why our characters might be struggling with what they are struggling with, it also gives both them and us, the audience, a small reprieve. Maybe it's proof that they've been in a bad place before and found a way out, but also maybe it just feels safer to live in the past sometimes. The past is known, it's not changing, it's familiar, even if it isn't always great or much better than the present. I don't want to make this a video digging into any one character, but if I walked out of this relating to any character in specific the most, it was Hal. If I haven't made it clear, Cooper Raiff is someone I feel kinda gets me, and I see a lot of myself in his characters. The second this dude started talking basketball in his movies and quoted Spider-Verse as one of his favorite movies of all time, he kinda sold me. There's plenty I saw in Alex and Andrew that reminded me of myself, and Hal is no exception. Actually, Hal is the one I related to the most, for all the best and worst reasons. Hal's so scared of being alone, and he's so scared of the unknown, that he'd rather accept the worst than the unknown. Hal's clearly never fit in with other boys his age, and he's not great at it when he's older either. He's not sure how to be a person, he says so himself.
I'm not a person.
And he struggles with being a friend. He's not great at relationships, and he's even worse at handling disappointment or loss. Many characters in the show struggle with the same things Hal does, notably Harper, but in very different ways. Where Harper has internalized her problems and feelings to the point of basically being a shell, devoid of any personal feeling or care, Hal has done the opposite. Hal doesn't know how to be alone, to the point where he spends nearly every day being overbearing to his sister or those around him. He doesn't know how to love or be loved in a healthy way, and you can see why.
Do you know what's wrong with you?
A whole lot.
We can see how this affects not only his familial relationships, but his romantic and platonic ones too. It's likely that Hal thinks he only needs to do enough to feel like he's been a friend or been there, because we can assume his dad did that often. In the same vein, it's unsurprising why Hal reacts how he does when he learns that Abby has seen other people, and the same fear manifests itself when Harper considers leaving for England. His feelings of unworthiness and abandonment come out in very ugly ways, but ultimately, it's a balance though, and Hal learns that. The moment in the swing makes it clear, even if he's damaged, even if he's stuck, he won't be alone, and he'll still be loved. Hal doesn't need to be perfect or have it all figured out now to be loved and cared for. I found it notable that the finale chose to spend moments alone with Abby, Jesse, Audrey, and Kaylin. While they've all been important throughout the show, it's almost always been only in relation to Hal and Harper. We don't know them outside of our main characters, but like I said, Cooper has a tender love for every character who appears on screen. These people matter to him, even if they were there for just a moment. He seems to really care about and value what they add, and their existence as their own person. One of the most beautiful moments of the show to me was when I was reading the Hal and Harper program notes released by Mubi. I think this kind of summarizes everything I was saying about not only how Raiff views Hal and Harper, but how he views the characters in his movies in Hal and Harper in general. Raiff has a few quotes that I think really put this all together, so I'm going to pull a few different ones. But I'll link the complete program notes below, and I highly recommend giving it a full read. I'm always thinking about an audience. They're always on my mind, and I'm telling the story for them. I'm creating this experience for people to get something out of it, and every frame is to help them do that better. So while I'm no longer able to be like, I want to be like Cameron Crowe, I remember how crucial saying, I want to be like Cameron Crowe was to me getting to this place of being confident in my sensibilities. I guess the only thing I would leave you with is, Hal and Harper isn't about my family. I came to feel that Hal and Harper need to be in story form, on camera, to help people see things in themselves and to find a certain sense of healing that the characters do by the end. I wasn't up there on my computer trying to control their narrative, but was really trying to listen to what these two characters were getting at. Cooper Raiff is a filmmaker whose films mean a lot to me, and he's continued to not only impress me with each work I see, but also impact me more and more. I'm not here to get personal, but the show kind of came at the perfect time for me, and so did Shithouse, and so did Cha Cha Real Smooth. Whether it be that I was really sad back in February and feeling very lonely when I put on Shithouse, or that I felt directionless and like I had to figure it all out when I put on Cha Cha Real Smooth, they got me. But maybe they were really effective because Cooper Raiff is really damn good at writing a movie. Like I've said, every time I revisited those films, I've cried, including the day before finishing the script for this video. Raiff gets it. He gets how much it sucks, how hard it can be, how lonely it can be, but also how beautiful it all is. He is truly one of the most earnest filmmakers working today and has a clear passion and investment in the stories he's telling, and he has such a beautiful view of the world and the people in it. Through it all, he sees what makes it all worth it. So I guess ultimately, what I want to say is, thank you, Cooper Raiff. Thank you for making Shithouse. Thank you for making Cha Cha Real Smooth. Thank you for making Hal and Harper. Thank you for making whatever you make next. And thank you for making something that not only inspired me to make art, but to see things a bit more optimistically. I think that's about going to do it for me on this one, so thank you guys for watching. Please consider leaving a like and subscribing. Follow me on Letterboxd, and go watch Hal and Harper or a Cooper Raiff movie.